Friday afternoon, December 2, 2011, a quiet cold December day felt like every other day, except for the phone call Phil Axt received about his twin sister, 67-year-old, Michelle O'Dowd, who had failed to show up to work that morning. Thinking that maybe she was sick, or her alarm clock had never gone off, he went to check on why she hadn't turned up for work that morning. Never once did it cross his mind something bad would have happened to his sister. He went to her condo to check on her, which was in a gated community where crime was seemingly non-existent. As he approached the condo, he noticed her front door was wide open. Knowing his sister would never be so careless, he knew something was wrong. Carefully he went in. When inside he was met with her once tidy, clean home, ransacked, tables and chairs turned over, items and family photos thrown around and broken. "I knew this wasn't going to be pretty," Phil said, about his thoughts the moment he saw the state of her home. He continued calling out for his sister and checking each room. It was only until the third time searching through the den that he noticed something was out of place. Beneath the Christmas tree surrounded by the presents his sister had prepared for her nieces and nephews, was a foot, his sister's foot. This was around 9:10 in the morning. As he walked closer, he realized her body was hidden under a pile of Christmas gifts. "I grabbed her ankle, and it was cold. The rest of her body was buried completely with the kids' Christmas presents," he said. Beneath the pile of gifts meant for nephews, nieces and grandchildren, Michelle O'Dowd was dead, her blooded face covered with a terry cloth towel. There was an empty vodka bottle laying nearby. He noted that at the time he thought it looked propped up and was posed by the killer. An autopsy would show that Michelle died from blunt force trauma and strangulation. After calling the police, her condo officially became a crime scene and their investigation started. When interviewing family members who had seen the victim before her death, one family member remembered they had talked to Michelle the night before, that she had a friend visiting her named Patty White, who was 37 years old. Patty was known to family members as she had been a living girlfriend to Michelle's nephew in South Carolina. But they had broken up. However, even after ending the relationship with Michelle's nephew, Patty was still welcomed by the family. Michelle let Patty stay with her when she needed it, and the whole family helped her out with jobs and money. They all considered her a part of the family, especially Michelle. Phil said his aunt treated Patty as part of the family, giving her odd jobs to earn extra money even though she just couldn't keep a job and couldn't get her life together. He was quoted saying, "Michelle had allowed Patty to stay at her condo for a month for free." His sister's death, so close to Christmas, and under a Christmas tree surrounded by presents, was especially painful, like salt being rubbed into his wounds, because this was her favorite time of the year, Phil said of his sister. She even took care of decorating his business for the holidays, he said. "How can you be so sick," he asked, "to bury the victim with children's gifts?" Phil said his family has known White for 4 or 5 years, and that she and his nephew had broken up. To help White earn money, Phil and his sister would pay her to clean houses or do other jobs. She sometimes babysat his grandchildren, he said. She was part of the family. Michelle would send White to the store for groceries and other items and give her the pins for her debit and credit cards. His sister was just one of those sweet, Aunt Mickey, as Michelle was known to friends and family, was the sweetest, kindest person who would never hurt a fly, Axt said. He also said his sister's neighbors heard screams. So many people in the community said they heard someone screaming and wailing, and no one called the police, he said. However, contrary to this, a police report said, a police canvass of 10 homes around Michelle's found only one person home, and they didn't hear anything. Police discovered that Patty had used Michelle's trust and kindness to get access to her information. She had the gate code for the community Grand Reserve Michelle lived in and knew how to get into the house. She also convinced Michelle to give her pins to her debit and credit cards, under the premise that she would buy the groceries for the two of them since she was staying with Michelle. That would be her helpful task to repay her kindness. However, this kindness was met with deceit and lies. After checking Michelle's credit and debit card activity, they found that someone had used Michelle's debit card at 2 banks AYMs on Friday after she was killed. They had withdrawn $500 from both locations, taking $1,000 in total. Officers were able to get a picture from the ATM's camera. They say, Patty attempted to disguise herself from the camera but was recognized by family members. After reviewing the surveillance footage, they had a positive ID of Patty White using the card. There is nothing worse than when you walk inside and find your sister brutally murdered over a stupid debit card, Axe told WTEV News. He said the withdrawals were made in Jacksonville on a route leading to the highway and South Carolina. Suspecting she was heading back to her hometown where her parents lived in York, South Carolina, Jacksonville police informed York police that Patty White was a person of interest in their murder and robbery case, and soon after she was found. Jacksonville police held a press conference and revealed Patty White as their main suspect, and they suspected that she had planned to rob Michelle, but something had gone wrong leading to her brutal murder, they were quoted to say. Whatever took place inside that apartment went wrong, and she ended up beating and killing her. They said Patty had returned to Florida to rob Michelle, after staying with relatives in South Carolina. Patty was found in a car with her mother in South Carolina, presumably running when police caught up with her on Saturday. According to York Chief Andy Robinson, York police officers pulled over a car that Patty was riding in on Saturday afternoon around 3:40 p.m. According to the police report, White's mother was driving her when deputies stopped them on East Liberty Street near College Street. Authorities took some clothes from White's family's home in South Carolina to be examined and turned over to Florida police. A car in which White and her mother were traveling when White was arrested was also examined but later released to the family, police said. She eventually confessed to killing Michelle and claimed that it was just supposed to be a robbery. On October 14, 2013, Patty White pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 45 years in prison.